behalf of RBCS, RBCS Australia, RBCS New Zealand, and Software TestWorks, we welcome everyone today to this webinar on 5 hard-won lessons in performance, load, and reliability testing. I am Rex Black, President of RBCS, a worldwide testing and quality assurance firm based in Texas, but with offices in Australia, New Zealand, and Sri Lanka. We also have partners around the world. We serve clients ranging from small startups to Fortune 20 global enterprises. Since 1994, RBCS has been a leader and a pioneer in quality hardware and software testing. We deliver insight and confidence to our clients, helping them get quality software and hardware products to market on time and with measurable return on investment. RBCS has a team of international consultants that deliver customized training, consulting, and outsourcing services for companies that are looking to improve their test and quality assurance practices. RBCS has helped hundreds of companies reduce development and support costs while assuring the best quality products are delivered to customers. Excuse me. I am the author of Pragmatic Software Testing, Advanced Software Testing Volumes 1 and 2, Foundations of Software Testing, Critical Testing Processes, and Managing the Testing Process. I hold a degree in Computer Science and Engineering from UCLA. I'm also past president of the International Software Testing Qualifications Board and the American Software Testing Qualifications Board. Before we start the presentation, a couple of housekeeping notes. If you have any questions during the course of the webinar, please feel free to submit them throughout the presentation via your webinar interface. There is no need to ask for presentation copies. The presentation will be on the web, on the basic library, at www.rbcs-us.com. If you are having problems with either the audio or visual components of this webinar, please contact GoToWebinar support. If for whatever reason you cannot get to the webinar online, or if you are dealing with an unreliable connection, please download the slides from the basic library at www.rbcs-us.com and be sure to use the telephone to connect rather than voice over IP. Also, please note that the February webinars were rescheduled due to a travel conflict, and my seemingly endlessly evolving international travels ended up kind of bumping things around a little bit in terms of dates. The times stay the same because those do seem to work for most people, but the days moved a little later in the month. If you'd already signed up prior to the change, you will have received an email update from GoToWebinar, and if you signed up after the change, then you got the right date and time from the start. So if you have no idea what I'm talking about, the date's changing, then that means you signed up after the change was made. Okay, so today's presentation is on 5 lessons in performance, load, and reliability testing. Many of our clients struggle with these types of tests, and for good reason. They're hard types of testing to do well, and we've found ways, though, that do work to do these types of tests well, but experience has really shown us that there aren't simple shortcuts for this. It's just it's one of those things where there's some essential complexity here. It's hard because it's hard. And while there's no end of things I could say about performance, load, and reliability testing, I'm going to focus today on what I think are probably the 5 most universal and perhaps essential things that you need to keep in mind as you address this type of testing. Now, I'm assuming that this is somewhat of a rhetorical question here of why this matters, because those of you who are attending, you already know that this matters, and otherwise you wouldn't have chosen to spend an hour or so of your time going over this presentation with me. But just to put this in perspective here. Why, not only why do we care, but why should the organization care? Well, inadequate performance definitely can cause user dissatisfaction, user errors, lost business. You think about somebody using a web-based application and it's just slow. They can't get anything done, and it's constantly stopping and making them wait for inexplicable reasons. That's going to be very dissatisfying and might result in people making mistakes as they enter data into fields, and ultimately if it's an e-commerce site or something like that, or if the product or service you're selling involves delivery over the web, and delivery over the web is horribly slow, then you would expect that you'd lose business. So there's ultimately a revenue piece. For load testing, the thing about load failures is if a system fails under load, that's basically a case of the system functionality disappearing right at the point where the largest number of people are counting on it, because generally that load is based on how many people are trying to use the system at one time. Now, that's a rough rule of thumb. Obviously, there can be particular types of uses that just a few users can perhaps do, and that creates tremendous load. But as a general rule, as the number of people using the system goes up, and hopefully profiting from the use of that system, benefiting from the use of that system, the load goes up, and then so if the system fails under load, it's basically maximizing the number of people who are disappointed by the failure, which is kind of what we wouldn't want. And then, reliability problems is the same kind of thing, as having the systems go down and not be available. It's going to create a reputation of flakiness, of course, unreliability, and the more critical the application, then the more unlikely somebody is to want to do business with an organization that's saying, oh yeah, you can trust us, and you can't trust our applications because they go up and down all the time, but you can trust us. I think people are going to look at unreliability of an application that's associated with a company as sort of a surrogate metric of how unreliable that company would be. So, instead of if somebody says, oh, well, why does this stuff matter? I think the way to turn that around is to say, well, look, are you sure that there are not critical risks, business-related risks that arise in the area of performance, load, and reliability? And you can talk about some of these issues, because it's a rare company these days who does not have some sort of significant performance, load, or reliability risk. There certainly are few examples, and I would expect that those people who work for companies that are those examples are not here today. So you're probably all here because this does matter. Okay, so a few anecdotes from past moments in time where performance, load, and reliability risks made that magic transition from risk into outcome, negative, undesirable outcome. So 10% of an e-commerce site's customers abandon their shopping cart. Let's say that's the statistic. And it's happening, we find out, because of sluggish performance. How long can this company stay in business? If every time somebody comes to the site, there's a 10% chance that they're going to say, too slow, I'm not going to use this anymore. They walk away. How are we going to keep that person as a customer? And now it was basically that if we lose 1 out of every 10 potential customers, that makes the job of sales and marketing all that much harder, because we got to put stuff in the funnel. At a conference a number of years ago, I was talking to somebody, and they were working with a bank in Europe, and they said that the average cost of field failure at that bank was over 100,000 euros, and that most of those field failures were performance, load, or reliability related. Now, keep in mind, this was probably 6 or 7 years ago. So that number is, that's a bigger number now than it was then, because of inflation, and also because of the euro appreciation too. So you'd have to think in terms of say Australia dollars. We're talking easily 200,000 Australia dollars at this moment in time. Now, some of you might remember the Victoria's Secret 1999 internet holiday lingerie show.